My name is Lila Carter, and 2 years ago, I learned exactly how small my own sister thought I was. It happened on a rainy Thursday evening in Portland, Oregon, during a family dinner at my parents' house. I had just started my job as a junior administrative assistant at a local tech firm. Nothing glamorous, nothing impressive, but a start I was proud of. I worked hard, stayed late, and took every opportunity one could. But to my sister Jenna, it was nothing. That night she looked at me with a smirk, swirling her wine glass like some self-appointed queen of success. "So, Lila," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "how's your little desk job? Still stapling papers for a living?" The table erupted in laughter. Even my mom tried to hide a smile. I felt heat rush to my face, but I stayed quiet. Then Jenna added, "Honestly, I don't know how you survive on that salary. I'd die if I had your job." My dad chuckled under his breath. "Your sister always had bigger dreams," he said, like I wasn't sitting right there. I swallowed my embarrassment carefully, like a bitter pill. But Jenna wasn't done. She looked at her fiancé and said loudly, "At least you don't have to worry about your sister trying to compete. She's way too average." Average. That word hit deeper than she knew. I didn't say anything. I didn't fight back. I didn't give her the satisfaction. But inside, something shifted. That night, the humiliation, the mocking, the laughter, became the spark. The spark that pushed me to change everything. To upgrade my skills. To move up in the company. To work in silence. To build something she would never see coming. Because the girl she mocked at that dinner would not be the same girl she met 2 years later. After that dinner, I drove home through the Portland rain with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Not from anger. Anger is loud. This was quieter. A slow, burning sting that sat heavy in my chest. I kept replaying Jenna's words. Average. Little desk job. Stapling papers. She had always been the golden child. Straight A student, varsity cheerleader, business degree, the one everyone expected to shine. I was the quiet one. The one who didn't complain. The one who didn't get in the way. But that night made something painfully clear. In my family's eyes, Jenna wasn't just better. I was a less. The next morning, I walked into North River Technologies with a different energy. The office still buzzed with keyboards and coffee machines, but I felt something new, resolve. I sat at my little gray desk, opened a blank notebook, and wrote a single line. In 2 years, my life will not look like this. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew I was done living small. I signed up for online courses, business analytics, project management, leadership training. I stayed late at work, volunteering for tasks no one else wanted. I shadowed senior managers, studied the company structure, and learned every system inside out. I didn't tell anyone, not even my closest coworker. Silence became my strategy. Because progress is sweetest when no one sees it coming. Meanwhile, Jenna kept posting her perfect life on Instagram, rooftop brunches, brand new car, boss babe energy, and captions like, "Hustle like a queen." But behind the scenes, she was burning through savings, job hopping, and avoiding responsibility. Her life was shiny but unstable. Mine was invisible but rising. Late at night, when I studied with aching eyes, I reminded myself, "She laughed at you. Remember that." I wasn't seeking revenge. I was building a future she couldn't touch. But destiny had other plans, and soon, she would walk straight into the world I was creating. Over the next few months, my routine became brutally simple. Work, study, sleep, repeat. While everyone else from the office went out for drinks, I stayed behind, memorizing workflow charts and learning advanced software modules. While Jenna uploaded Sunday brunch vibes, I spent Sundays reading business strategy books. Slowly, quietly, I changed. My manager, Evelyn Brooks, started noticing. One afternoon, she stopped by my desk and said, "Lila, how did you finish the Q2 analysis report? That's advanced level work." I shrugged gently. "I learned." She smiled. "Keep this up and you won't be at that desk much longer." For the first time in a long time, something warm flickered inside me, validation. By month 8, Evelyn trusted me with tasks normally handled by junior managers. By month 10, I led small meetings. By month 12, I was managing full projects. But I didn't brag. I didn't post. I didn't even tell Jenna. My family still assumed I was stapling papers for a living, and honestly, I didn't mind. Their underestimation had become my fuel. Then came the moment everything shifted. One morning, Evelyn called me into her office. She looked unusually formal. "Lila," she said, "North River is opening a new branch. They need a project operations lead. I'm recommending you." My heart stopped.
Me?
The girl Jenna called average? The girl with the little desk job? Evelyn continued. "You've earned this. And we need people who can build from the ground up. You're one of them." 2 weeks later, it was official. Project Operations Lead, North River Technologies. A real title. A real salary. A real career. But I still stayed silent.
No announcements. No bragging.
Because deep down, I knew something. Life is a strange way of circling back. And one day, Jenna would run straight into the woman she never believed I could become. And that day was closer than I imagined. My rise at North River was steady and quiet, exactly how I wanted it. But Jenna's life was moving in the opposite direction. It started subtly. First, she lost her marketing job at Bright Peak Apparel. She told the family it was budget cuts, but I knew better. Her posts had stopped suddenly, and her tone online shifted from bragging to vague self-care quotes. Then came her second job loss, this time at a boutique agency. The reason? Creative differences. Translation. She couldn't keep up. One evening, Mom called me while I was running end-of-quarter reports. "Lila, sweetheart," she said, her voice unusually soft. "Your sister is struggling a bit. Maybe you can help her find something?" I kept my tone calm. "I can try to look around." Mom brightened instantly. "I knew you'd help." Jenna said, "You wouldn't know anyone important." Of course she did. She still thought I was stapling papers. I didn't correct her. Not yet. A week later, Jenna herself called me, something she rarely did. Her voice sounded tight. "Lila, do you know if your company is hiring? I'm looking for something stable." Stable. The very thing she once mocked me for wanting. I swallowed a breath. "What kind of job?" "Anything in admin," she said quickly. "Just until I get back on my feet." My mind flashed back to that dinner. Her smirk. Her laughter. Her words. "At least you're not competition." Now she was asking me for a position I had outgrown a year ago. But I didn't let the past speak for me. Instead, I said, "Send me a resume. I'll see what I can do." Jenna sounded relieved, almost grateful. But she had no idea how much things had changed. Because the little tech firm she thought I worked at, the place she imagined had me making copies, I was now running a department there. And soon, she would be walking into my office. Not as my sister, but as my employee. The following Monday, I walked into the North River headquarters with Jenna's resume in my bag. It looked impressive, buzzwords, exaggerated achievements, and a very dramatic, creative strategist title. But underneath the polish, I saw the truth. She didn't have stability. She didn't have discipline. She didn't have results. Still, North River was expanding, and we were hiring for a junior administrative role, the same level I had started at. I forwarded her resume to HR with a short note. "Candidate referred. Please schedule interview." By afternoon, HR emailed back. "Interview set. Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Office of Lila Carter, Project Operations Lead." The irony hit me like cold air. My office. My department. My decision. Thursday came fast. I sat at my glass desk on the 10th floor, reviewing project timelines, when Jenna walked in. And, for the first time ever, she looked nervous. Her eyes scanned my office, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the plaques, the team photos, then landed on me. "You work here," she whispered. I smiled gently. "I run this department." Her mouth fell open. Not in anger. Not in jealousy. But in disbelief. She sank into the chair. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Because no one ever asked," I said softly. Her cheeks flushed, shame mixed with something else. realization. The sister she mocked, the sister she looked down on, the sister she dismissed, was now the person deciding her future. But I stayed professional. I asked questions, took notes, and conducted the interview like I would with any applicant. Except this applicant knew my past, and I knew hers. At the end, she asked quietly, "Do you think I have a chance?" I held her gaze. "If you work hard," I said, "you might." She nodded, eyes slightly misty. Walking her out of my office, I felt something unexpected. Not victory, not revenge, just closure. Because she finally saw me, not as the average sister, but as the woman she could no longer underestimate. HR moved quickly. By Monday morning, Jenna received the official offer letter: Junior Administrative Assistant, North River Technologies, Project Operations Division. My division. Her starting salary was decent, the benefits solid, and the environment stable, everything she once mocked me for settling for. That afternoon, she called me. Not with her usual confident tone. Not with her old superiority. But with something almost unfamiliar. Humility. "Lila, thank you," she said softly. "I know I haven't always been kind." That was an understatement, but I didn't interrupt. She continued, "I used to think your job was small. I didn't know what you were actually building." Her voice cracked slightly. "And I didn't know you were someone people respected this much." I leaned against my office window, staring at the Portland skyline. "It's okay, Jenna. Everyone grows at their own pace." She exhaled shakily. "I want to do better this time. I want to learn. I don't want to embarrass you." Embarrass me. The girl who mocked my paycheck, now worried about disappointing me. Destiny has a sharp sense of humor.
Her first day arrived.
I watched from my glass-walled office as she entered the lobby, clutching her orientation folder, wearing a simple outfit, not her usual boss babe fashion, as if trying not to attract attention. She looked small, not in a pitiful way, but in a human way. HR walked her to her desk, a quiet corner on the 8th floor, far below mine. She looked around nervously, absorbing the structure, the discipline, the energy of the office. North River wasn't her flashy world. It was mine. Later, she knocked gently on my office door. Do I call you Lila? Or Ms. Carter?" I smiled. "Lila is fine."
She nodded, relieved.
As she walked out, I realized something unexpected. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't about humiliation. It wasn't even about payback. It was about balance being restored. The sister, who once mocked my path, was now walking her first steps on a path I built myself. Jenna's first few weeks at North River were humbling. Not because anyone treated her poorly, but because, for the first time in her life, no one cared that she was Jenna Carter. No one praised her automatically. No one gave her shortcuts. She had to earn everything, and she wasn't used to that. One morning, I passed by the admin room and saw her staring at a spreadsheet with a frustrated expression. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped the keyboard helplessly. Her coworker Maya, a sweet, soft-spoken girl, leaned over to help. "Here, use this formula or the whole sheet breaks." Jenna nodded quickly, taking notes. I could see the effort in her posture. Shoulders pulled in, ego held down, pride swallowed. Later that day, I was called into a meeting. When I walked into the conference room, I noticed Jenna setting up the projector, arranging documents, checking attendees' names. She avoided my eyes, but the respect was visible. During the meeting, my team of managers listened as I outlined quarterly targets, workflow improvements, and project deadlines. I spoke calmly, confidently, the way Jenna used to speak to me. Except now, she was the one taking notes. After the meeting ended, she stayed behind. "Lila, can I ask you something?" I nodded. "How did you do it?" she asked quietly. "How did you become this?" The word "this" carried awe, not jealousy. I took a breath. "I stopped comparing myself," I said. "I focused on learning more than proving. And I worked quietly, every day." She swallowed. "I wish I had done that earlier." I looked at her, really looked. For years, her confidence had been armor. Now she was unlearning the very arrogance that once made her mock me. "Jenna," I said softly, "you're not late. Just start." A tear slipped down her cheek before she quickly wiped it away. For the first time ever, she wasn't the golden child. She was simply a girl trying to grow. Weeks passed, and Jenna slowly began to settle into the rhythm of real work, the kind that didn't come with applause or Instagram captions. She arrived on time. She stayed late. She learned. Not quickly, not perfectly, but sincerely. One Friday evening, I walked by the admin floor and saw her still at her desk while most employees had already left for the weekend. Her hair was tied back, her jacket draped over her chair, and she was watching a training video on workflow automation. This was not the Jenna I grew up with. This wasn't the girl who mocked my job, bragged about her lifestyle, or compared our careers at every gathering. This was someone rebuilding herself. Later, she came up to my office with hesitation. "Lila, can I show you something?" I nodded. She handed me a report she'd been working on, organized, color-coded, and surprisingly detailed. "I know it's basic," she said nervously, "but could you tell me what to fix?" I reviewed it carefully. "It's not basic," I said. "It's good. Really good." Her eyes softened. "You're not just saying that?"
No.
"You earned it." A quiet pride filled her face, the kind that comes from effort, not ego. Before leaving, she stopped at the door. "Lila, I used to think your job was beneath me." She swallowed. "But now I see how hard you worked, and how wrong I was." I didn't respond immediately. Some wounds take time to fully close. But I finally said, "You're learning now. That's what matters." The next week, something unexpected happened. HR emailed me privately. "Jenna Carter has shown impressive improvement. Considering her for administrative team lead in the next cycle." I stared at the screen. She was changing genuinely. And for the first time, I wasn't watching my sister fall or fail. I was watching her rise. In the very place she once said I didn't belong. About 3 months into Jenna's job at North River, my parents invited us for dinner. One of those family bonding evenings they used to host when Jenna was the center of everything. I wasn't planning to go. Old wounds make old rooms feel smaller. But Jenna called me personally. "Lila, please come. I want them to hear the truth from me." There was a softness in her voice I wasn't used to. So I agreed. When we arrived, Mom's eyes lit up at seeing Jenna. But when she saw me, her smile dimmed, not out of dislike, but habit. I was still the other daughter. The one who blended into the background at every meal. As we sat down, Dad asked the same question he always did. "So, Lila's still at that desk job?" Jenna froze. Her fork slipped from her hand. I opened my mouth to speak, but she beat me to it. "No, Dad," she said firmly. "Lila doesn't work a desk job." Mom frowned. "What do you mean?" Jenna took a breath. "She runs an entire division at North River Technologies. She's a project operations lead. She manages teams, budgets, deadlines, everything." Silence. The heavy kind. Dad blinked. "Wait, you're in management?"
Jenna nodded. "She's the reason I even got my job."
"She's the reason I'm improving. She's the reason I didn't completely fall apart." My parents stared at me like they were seeing me for the first time. Mom whispered, "Why didn't you tell us?" I answered calmly. No one ever asked me anything except what I wasn't. The room stiffened. Then Jenna did something I never expected. She reached across the table, held my hand, and said, "I was wrong about you, Lila. I'm proud of you. And I hope one day you'll be proud of me too." My chest tightened. Not from pain this time, but from something gentler. Respect. Healing. A bond rebuilding itself. And for the first time in years, my family finally saw me. After that dinner, something in our family shifted. Not loudly, not instantly, but gently, like a curtain finally being pulled back after years of shadow. For the first time, my parents stopped comparing us. Stopped praising Jenna at my expense. Stopped treating my career like a temporary phase. They asked questions. Real questions. About my work, my goals, my plans. It felt strange, being seen. But the real change was in Jenna. The next morning at the office, she walked into my department with a new kind of confidence. Quiet, steady, focused. Not the old showy confidence she used to weaponize against me, but the kind that comes from effort. At lunch, she sat with coworkers instead of eating alone. She offered to help Maya with inventory logs. She volunteered to organize meeting schedules. She even stayed late to finish end-of-week reports. One evening, I found her in the break room staring at the bulletin board that listed internal promotions. "Do you think I could ever reach something real here?" she asked. "Real?" I repeated. "A role that matters. A role with responsibility. A role I've earned. Not something given to me because of you." Her voice cracked, but her eyes held determination. "You can," I said, "if you keep doing exactly what you're doing." She nodded, breathing deeply. Then she said something that stunned me. "I used to want success so people would admire me. Now I want success because I want to admire myself." That hit deeper than any apology she had given. Over the next weeks, she kept improving. Her managers noticed. HR noticed. Even I noticed myself rooting for her, genuinely. Because revenge had turned into something else. Respect.
Growth.
Balance. And destiny was about to complete the circle, because Jenna's biggest test and biggest breakthrough was coming. 2 weeks later, North River announced internal evaluations, the kind that decides who stays, who grows, and who leads. For Jenna, this was it. Her chance to prove she wasn't the same girl who mocked my job, who lived for image, who fell apart when life stopped applauding. The office was tense all week. People whispered in hallways, fixed their resumes, rehearsed their achievements. But Jenna? She just worked.
No bragging. No excuses. No dramatics.
On Friday afternoon, HR sent out the results. I sat in my office, watching my inbox fill with notifications. Through the glass wall, I saw Jenna standing by her desk, staring at her screen, frozen. Then slowly, her hand covered her mouth. Tears spilled instantly. I walked over, heart pounding for her. She turned to me, trembling. "Lila, I got promoted. They made me administrative team lead." Her voice broke completely. "I did it, not because of you, but because of me." And for the first time in our entire lives, I pulled her into a hug, a real one. Not forced, not polite. A hug between two women who had finally stopped competing and started understanding. Moments later, our team burst into applause. Maya hugged her. Her supervisor congratulated her. Even upper management nodded with approval. Jenna looked around the room, overwhelmed, humbled, transformed. "Lila," she whispered, "I used to laugh at what you built. Now I want to build something that makes you proud." I smiled softly. "You already did." As we walked out of the building that evening, two sisters side by side instead of miles apart, I realized something. This wasn't a story of revenge. It was a story of growth. Of roles reversing, of respect earned, of wounds healed, of two sisters finally meeting in the middle. And the girl who once mocked my job now worked in my department and flourished. Quiet victory, quiet justice, quiet peace.